Hi everyone, and welcome back to Rough Writer, where every week I talk writing, self-publishing, and making it as an author. So I talk a lot about how you need to promote your book, you need to push it to people online, and really get your name out there. So most people end up doing social media because that makes sense. It's free and it's easy to use. But the problem with social media is that you end up having to track down your right audience and put a lot of time and effort into really interacting with people and finding the kinds of people who would be willing to read your book. And sometimes you just don't have time for that. But an alternative to social media, or maybe like a complement to social media, would be running paid ads. I think a lot of people dismiss that as an option because they assume that it's going to be really expensive. But if you run ads on Amazon, you could do this without really breaking the bank. So today I'm going to explain to you how you can run an Amazon ad campaign after self-publishing your book. So the first thing you need to do before you start running an ad campaign is making sure that you've got everything ready. So obviously the first step is to decide what book you're going to promote. If you're doing this through Amazon, you can only do this for books that you've published through Kindle Direct Publishing or KDP. That's not particularly surprising. But what these ads are going to do is they're going to direct customers to your book's detail page. So if there's any revisions you want to make to your book, do it now. You want to make sure that your product description is as strong as possible. Make sure that your cover image looks the way that you want it to, so you won't need to revise it later and add a new one. And make sure to update your keywords that you use for your book, because these are going to be important later. Having a solid product description and a good cover, like an attractive cover, is really going to go a long way in getting people to be drawn into your book. Like, they're going to see the ad, they're going to see these things and be like, oh yeah, this is something I at least want to look into. If either of those two things is lacking, then there's a really good chance that potential readers are just going to ignore your book. You don't want to waste money on running ads by driving customers to a product page that's just unfinished or just really uncompelling. And the last thing you should do is make sure that you've set up an Amazon author page. Certain types of ads are dependent on you having one. This is a page that's going to list all of the books that you've published under your name. And it's also going to give some information about you as the author. And even if you've only self-published one book, it looks good to have a page like this. So I'll put a link in the description to the site where you can make your own Amazon author page. So if you don't have one, do that today. It takes like 2 seconds. Having an author page like that is going to give people more information about you, since you're an author that they've probably never heard of. So the next thing you should do to run an Amazon ad campaign is to set up an Amazon ads account. So now you're ready to start advertising, but you're going to have to set up an account with Amazon to do so. If you log into KDP, you go to the marketing tab at the top of the dashboard and then choose what marketplace you're going to be advertising in. You'll be able to advertise in a number of international markets. I think most of the people who view my channel are in the US, so you're probably going to be sticking with that. But after you pick the marketplace, you're going to get redirected to the Amazon ads page to set up your account. All you have to do is just sign in with your pre-existing KDP username and password, so you don't have to invent a new one. You'll have to do this for every international marketplace, but I feel like in all likelihood, you're just going to be advertising in your own countries, so it really doesn't matter right now. There isn't much of a point in advertising in a foreign country if your book's not available in their language yet, so just stick to the one that you're in. And the next thing that you have to do to run an Amazon ad campaign is to choose your campaign type. Once you're registered with Amazon ads, you can really start setting up your ad campaign. You'll click on the campaign manager tab on the left-hand side and then on campaigns. And then finally, you just click the create campaign button. You're going to be given 3 types of campaigns to choose from. You've got sponsored products, sponsored brands, and lock screen ads. Sponsored product ads are going to target Amazon customers who've been searching with related keywords or looking at similar books to yours. And you've probably seen these while you were browsing Amazon on like your computer or your phone. But the ads are going to be marked as sponsored. It's going to say it at the top. And then it's going to show your cover image, your title, your name, and you can add 150 character text. This part's optional. It also displays the publishing date, the list price, and the number of stars that your book has gotten from customer reviews. Then you've got sponsored brand ads, which are going to promote your book on a brand landing page, which is just a page listing all the books published under your name. And this is going to show up to customers based on keywords or related product searches. So if they're searching for things under the keywords that you've listed for your book under its metadata, or they're looking at books that are similar to yours, this ad is probably going to pop up for them. Basically, with sponsored product ads, you're going to be advertising a collection of your books and not really just one. The ads are customizable, more so than the other types, but they're going to display the photo that you used on your Amazon author page for yourself as the author, a custom headline, and then up to 3 of your published books. An important thing you should know about sponsored brand ads, though, is that you have to have at least 3 book titles claimed on your Amazon author page. So if you've self-published less than 3 books, you're not going to be able to run this type of ad. And then the last campaign type is lock screen ads, which are actually based on the genre an Amazon customer is currently reading. It's not based on searches or anything like that. These also only show up for customers who are reading on a Kindle or a Fire tablet, so people who are reading ebooks. These ads display your book's title, the cover image, and 150 character text, which is optional. You don't have to include that. And then they're going to show up on their Kindle Kindle screen or their Fire tablet screen when it's locked. Like it's just going to be an image that's just on the lock screen. Or it'll show up on the home screen once they do get into it as a banner at the bottom of the screen. So again, these are only going to show up if they're using these devices. It won't show up if they're just on their computer browsing Amazon. And since these are targeting people who read ebooks, if you've only published an ebook version of your book, or you're prioritizing people buying the ebook version of your book, probably because the royalties are higher, then this is a good option because you know that you're going to be getting readers who read ebooks. Not everyone you run into in normal life actually enjoys ebooks. A lot of people do prefer print ones, so sometimes it can be a harder sell. So this is going to target people who already like using them. So yeah, just something to think about. The next thing you do when running an Amazon ad campaign is you actually set up your campaign. So this is where things start to get a little complicated. After you've decided the type of campaign you're going to be running, you're going to have to start adding all of the really specific details. This is who it's targeting, how much you want to spend, the dates the ads are going to run, and more details than just that. Not every campaign type is going to have you enter the same details, but the ones I'm about to list are the most common ones that you're going to see. So the first thing you'll be doing is picking your targeting strategy. This is basically determining what shoppers are going to see your ads. You can choose either automatic targeting or you can manually target people. Obviously, automatic targeting is the easier way to go. Amazon's just going to automatically target keywords and books that are similar to the one that you're trying to advertise. But if you decide you want to do manual targeting, you're going to get to choose your own keywords and your own books that you want to highlight as being similar to yours. So let's say you wrote some like epic fantasy novel. It's like really grand scale, a lot of characters, really complex, and you think it's going to appeal to people who either like the Lord of the Rings or they like the Song of Ice and Fire series. So what you would do is pick keywords that apply to those books and yours. So like, I don't know, epic fantasy, grand scale fantasy. It's something. It's probably a good idea to look up what keywords are associated with those kinds of books. I didn't do that research, so I don't know. I'm just pulling words out. But in addition to the keywords, you can specifically highlight Game of Thrones or The Fellowship of the Ring or one of those books as being similar to yours. So Amazon's going to know, okay, this ad should be targeted towards people who are either searching for those books or have read those books. So those are the people who are going to see your ad. They're searching for books that are similar, either marked specifically as similar or have similar descriptions or keywords. And then the next thing you'll do is choose your default bids. So Amazon Ads defines a bid as the maximum amount that you're willing to pay for a shopper to click your ad. So basically, this is what you're paying for when you're running your ad campaign. When it comes to digital advertising, there's two concepts that you should be aware of. There's impressions and then there's clicks. An impression is when your ad is displayed on Amazon and a customer sees it. You don't pay for impressions. Just because the customer saw it doesn't mean that you're paying anything. You only pay when they actually click on it. And Amazon calls this pay per click. Your ad's going to continue to show up until enough people have clicked on it that day to expend the daily budget that you've chosen. So if you set your default bid at like 50 cents and you set your daily budget as $5, your ad's just going to keep running that day until 10 customers have clicked it, because 50 cents times 10 is $5. The daily budget's entirely up to you. Self-publishing authors, especially if this is like really early on in your career, usually don't have a lot of money to throw around like this. So I'd say start small when setting these budgets, at least until you have more experience with advertising. So choose an amount that you're willing to spend in total on your ad campaign and then divide it by the number of days that you want to run it. So if you're setting aside like $25 to run this campaign and you want to run it for 5 days, then set your daily budget to $5. On any given day, once your daily budget is expended through clicks, these ads are going to pause until the next day, at which point the whole process restarts and you're back up to your, I don't know, $5, whatever daily budget, and then people can click on it again. One thing you should know about bids though, is that the higher you set them, the more competitive your ad becomes, and it becomes a lot more likely that customers are going to see it. You're not the only person running ads on Amazon. Your competitors are too. And if you set your bid too low, Amazon is going to prioritize the ones who are willing to spend more on their ads. So those are going to show up a lot more often than yours. If you set yours really low, then you're probably going to be like totally drowned out by other ads. And what that means is that not a lot of people are going to see your book. They're going to see someone else's. Amazon will suggest a default bid price, which should give you a good idea of where to start, but you don't have to necessarily go with that number. And then the last thing you're going to do is choose a name for your campaign. And you'll also select the start and end dates. And once you've done all this, you can submit your campaign for review. It can take up to 72 hours for Amazon Ads to really check your campaign and make sure that it meets their requirements. But once it passes the review, your ads will start appearing during the date range that you set. And the last thing you should do to run an Amazon ad campaign is to check your campaign results. After the campaign reaches its end, you should check how it did. Amazon will give you all of this information. It's readily accessible from your marketing dashboard on KDP. Amazon Ads will show you how much you spent in total, how much money in sales you generated, the advertising cost of sales, so it's ACOS. It's basically the percent of your resulting sales revenue that was spent on ads. And they'll also show you the number of impressions. You can add other metrics too though. You can put the click-through rate, which is the percent of customers who saw your ad and actually decided to click on it instead of ignoring it, the average cost per click, and among other things. You can also see these metrics broken down by date. It's smart to check these results, not just to see how this individual campaign did, but to plan for future ones. If the ad campaign that you ran was like particularly successful, it makes sense to try to emulate that in the future. You know, the next campaign you run, try to do it very similarly to the one that you just did. But if it didn't do very well, then you should learn from your mistakes and then see what you need to improve before you start running another one. You're spending money on this, so you want to make sure that you're doing the best job that you possibly can, so you're not wasting that money on a lackluster campaign that's just not effective. So for a few examples, if you see that your number of impressions was smaller than expected, like less customers saw your ad than you would have liked, you might have just set your bid too low to be competitive, and then other advertisers just ended up taking priority with Amazon. If your click-through rate was low, maybe a lot of customers saw your ads but no one really clicked on it, consider if you were really targeting the right customers, or if the custom text that you added was interesting or compelling enough to get people to actually want to click on it. It's just that figuring out where you went wrong will prevent you from wasting money in the future. You want to create the perfect ad, and you can't do that without learning from your mistakes. So Amazon ads can get your book out there even if you're on a budget. You may have thought that running ads on Amazon would be too expensive, so you just avoided that as an option and stuck to social media. But you should look into this and consider if it might be something you want to do, because you don't need to break the bank when you're doing it. If anything, it makes your life a little easier in that you don't have to search out potential customers or readers on social media. You don't have to figure out who your audience is that way. You don't have to put all this time and effort into interacting with people and posting and doing all of that. Amazon's going to take care of all of that for you. They're going to find the right customers, the right readers, and yes, you will be spending money, but at least it's going to be targeting the right people. So there's a greater chance that they're actually going to buy it or at least look into it. On social media, if you're not getting the right people, which is very possible you won't, they might just ignore you entirely. And once you run an ad campaign, if it does work out and you start seeing sales, you can put that money that you just got from the sales towards a future ad campaign. And you just repeat this cycle over and over again until your book's a bestseller. So this one was a little complicated at parts, so you may want to read the blog post. I feel like it's probably a little clearer than me just saying it, but there's a link in the description as always. If you found this interesting or helpful, please like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and as always, thank you for watching. God bless.